So, to establish what I'm getting ready to talk about, we're getting ready to talk about the true untold funeral home story. We're going to make all the corrections and all the truthisms are now going to come out about the funeral home story that Aron the Idol Stevens told on the Dutch Mantell podcast. And we're going to fix all that today. We're going to give you the true untold story and also throw in a couple of things that Aron the Idol Stevens left out. So here we go. Yes, we did go to my brother's father's funeral, and I did invite Aron the Idol Stevens to come join us, and he didn't put up too much of a fight. He said, okay, yeah, I know Timmy John real well. Very respectful thing for me to do. So everything he said about that was true. The first falsehood that was given, he says that we went to Eminence, Kentucky. And I'm going to tell you how bad my memory is. I didn't call him out wrong because I thought it was Eminence too, but it wasn't. And I should know better because Grandpa Bolin was born and raised in the Newcastle area. He lived in Newcastle, one street over from the funeral home. Now, my grandpa had passed away since then. My grandpa passed away in 1986, maybe 85, 86. And so he'd passed away. So he was not there when we went out to do this funeral. But it wasn't in Eminence, Kentucky. It was 4 miles closer to LaGrange in Newcastle, Kentucky. So that is the first correction. And he's right. Aron and I were both on television, a very heavily watched show in the Louisville surrounding areas. We were on in 7 states. We were a big deal in the surrounding counties, the Hick counties, as they often got labeled. And let's face it, Henry County was considered one of those, where my brother's from. My grandpa, now my grandmother lived in Kenton County, so they were long divorced by the time I was even a young kid. They were divorced when I was 2 years old. So Newcastle, the location. The funeral home is right off the main road that takes you into Newcastle. You get to downtown Newcastle, make a left, and like a building or two over is the funeral home. So we parked the car in the parking lot. And another falsehood that Aron has told, Aaron's going to be pissed when he sees this, is that I did not walk into the funeral home with the briefcase. He might have thought we did, and it may have appeared that way, and I will forgive him for thinking so. I did not have the balls, galls, and audacity to walk into that funeral home of my brother's father, laying in a casket to the left of us as we walked in the door, holding the briefcase ready for business. That did not happen. What happened was, and yes, people immediately started approaching us. Many of my family members had never met me in person before. They had only seen me on television and heard stories from Timmy John, because Timmy John, I didn't even meet till I was 19 years old. So many of his family members I'd never met. Of course, he would tell them about me. And then, oh, you can see my brother on OVW television. So when we get there, Aron and I are big fucking deals because we're on the CW network. We were on WDRB TV. And we'd been on for a while. I mean, Aron got to us. I think Aron got to us in the new building. So this is after 2001, 2002 when we got to the new building. Aron is with me in 2008. So I've been on television since 96 in Louisville. 2008 is the funeral, and I'm now meeting many of my family members for the first time. Distant family members to a degree, but yet family members. And as a matter of fact, my brother has called me and made a couple of corrections and added a couple of things to the story about how fascinated the women were at this funeral with Aron the Idol Stevens, who many will say is a good-looking young man, and that they were very fascinated at how good Aron the Idol Stevens looked. We'll get into that in a little bit. So we walk into the funeral home, and immediately we are swamped. They are leaving as Aron phrased it, the main attraction, who's off to the left in the next room. That room gets deserted, and everybody's coming to meet me and Aron the Idol Stevens. And we're posing for pictures, and we're hugging people, and they're introducing themselves, and we're getting compliments left and right. We love your show. Oh, my God. And big hugs from women I've never met before. Hugs from men I've never met before. And I'm having to hear these names, and you know my memory, even back then, wasn't that good. And I'm having to ask names all night as they shake my hand or want to meet me or pose for a picture. And Aron is posing for pictures left and right. And I've never seen a man who felt, and he said it on the show, felt more awkward in all of his life. That he is at a funeral paying respect to my brother's father, who's laying in a casket with an open casket with bib overalls on, because most of the family members were buried in their bib overalls. That's what they wore their whole lives. I never saw John Razor more than 5 times in my life that he didn't have on a pair of bib overalls. If I saw him wearing anything else, I was wondering if he was going to a funeral, because that was considered dressing up. And so Aron is embarrassed, and I'm eating it up. I don't, hey, we're big stars here at this funeral. So I'm trying to pay respect to my brother's body, or not my brother's body. Sometimes that's wishful thinking. My brother's father's body laying in the next room. And my brother adored his father. He had raised Timmy John since he was a little baby. Long story as to how that happened. And that's a whole nother story and a whole nother segment that I will tell, because I'm 63 years old and I think people need to know the story. It needs to be out there for posterity. So I will tell the story of how I didn't see Timmy John for 19 years at a later date. That'll be a whole separate segment, another show. So, so we finally make it over. We figure, well, if we go into the main attractions room, everyone else will join us. So we go to the main attraction and we go up to the casket, which I hate doing that shit. There are so many funerals I've missed because I just didn't want to go. I didn't want to be a part of it. I can count on one hand how many funerals I've been to, and take a few fingers off that hand as to how many caskets I've walked up to and may or may not have touched the body. So we're there, and we can't remember out of the three of us. Well, it had to be either me or Aron, because Timmy John would not have had them. Well, Timmy John could have had them, because I think we gave them to him. See, Monday Night Raw was coming to Louisville in the near future. And so Timmy John may have had them. We may have already given him his tickets for him and his dad to go see Monday Night Raw. So one of the three of us took those tickets, and none of us could. Timmy John can't remember, I can't remember, and Aron can't remember. But one of the three of us put 2 tickets in the pocket of his overalls. Yes. We put 2 WWE Monday Night Raw tickets in his pocket of his bib overalls. And I don't know why it was done, but it was done. Hand to whatever it is you believe in, this was done. My brother remembers it happening. Why the three of us can't remember who did it. I think Aron wouldn't have had the tickets, but it had to be me or my brother. I think through process of elimination, it had to be me or my brother. But I'm thinking it wouldn't be proper for me to do it. So I think it had to be Tim. I'm dissecting this as I tell the story. I think it had to be Tim, because it would be up to him whether his father takes those tickets with him, because Tim might still want to go and maybe take a date or something. He opted out. Yeah, I got him 2 more tickets. So he puts the tickets in the overalls, and people are still coming up. They're wanting to get pictures taken by the casket, with the open casket. So we opt out of that. We don't think that's a good thing. So we opt out of that, and we step into the next room and take some more pictures. Now we hear that there are refreshments being served a couple of rooms back. This is a pretty big funeral home. And that refreshments and finger sandwiches, as Aron labeled them, and that was brownies. He remembered that there were brownies. And that got his attention, because he's on a strict diet and he don't get brownies very often. I was favoring the finger sandwiches. So we go back there, and more people are coming up. And Dawn, I can't think of Dawn's last name. I actually had to block her off this show once because she came in saying some horrible things and I had to get rid of her. So, but poor Dawn, who, as my brother labeled her, smoking hot back in those days. Don't know what that means about these days. But he said Dawn was smoking hot back then, and she kept wanting to know, who's that guy with Kenny Bolin? Because some of the people were not wrestling fans. They knew of me, but they didn't know who was with me. Dawn was one of those people. Who is that guy with Kenny? Oh my God, he is beautiful. He is smoking hot. So now the single women, and some of them not so single, are now wanting to meet Aron and find out what his marital status is, and would he mind marrying a good old country girl from out in Henry County. Dawn was one of those. Dawn's mother was another one. And so many women are now wanting to come up and meet Aron.